at the CBN by the 5th business day of every subsequent month. Now, the CBN also said non-compliance with levy remittance constitutes an offense subject to penalties, including a fine of not less than 2% of the defaulting business's annual turnover, among other consequences. And finally, all institutions under the regulatory purview of the CBN are hereby directed to note and comply with the provisions of this Act and this circular. Now, that's what the CBN is saying, and Nigerians are asking so many questions. So tonight we have a lot to discuss, but let's speak with our guest who will help us with all you need to know about this cybersecurity levy. Ghazali Abdulaziz is a Google and Oxford certified cybersecurity expert. He's also the founder, CEO, HQ Consultant Limited. Thank you so much for joining us this evening, Mr. Aziz.
Yeah, thank you very much, Olaju Moke.
Now, so this conversation we're having tonight, I would like us to, bring in the perspective of governments. I mean, what government is saying, from what angle is government coming from, and also the concerns and speculations out there. At the moment, there is so much apprehension in the air. Experts are saying this will contribute so much burden on Nigerians in the face of food inflation, in the face of increased electricity tariff. From your perspective, what is it about this cybersecurity levy?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think probably the government has realized that they have been sleeping on the wheel, because cybersecurity is an interesting and a very important thing to look at. If you look at the report, Nigeria was rated second among the most cyberly secured country in Africa, following Senegal. But the truth of the matter is that funding cybersecurity is not cheap, right? Okay. And if you look at the cybersecurity spectrum, we have the government, we have businesses, and we have individuals, right? So government, in their own part, they have a role to play in making sure that critical infrastructures are safe from cyber attack. So the question is how would they fund this? The truth of the matter is that I've not seen anywhere in the world in my journey as a cybersecurity expert where citizens are being levied cybersecurity levy. I don't know what prompted that. I don't know what the CBN is looking at. So if you look at the CBN as a regulatory body, because financial sector is part of our critical infrastructures. We have the financial service, we have the housing, we have the utility service. So Nigerians are concerned. If you are talking about cybersecurity, it's a digital security. For example, as a citizen, how do I pay for the physical security that is being taken care of by the military, by the police, for example? I don't think we have any levy that is called physical security levy. I don't know. But the truth of the matter is that the primary responsibility of every government is to protect life and properties. And there are ways these are being funded. So when you talk about cybersecurity, government has responsibility. But now we are discussing about the funding.
Okay, before we delve further into funding, you talked about physical security levy. Absolutely. Who funds that?
That's what I'm saying. Because if you look at if you look at all government activities, we have what we call budget. We have appropriation, right? From every revenue that is being generated, they have percentage that is being allocated. Absolutely. And let me draw your attention back to our 2024 appropriation bill. If you take a deep dive into the defense and security layer, you observe that our allocation into that particular expenditure head, it declined. It declined. And I believe government will have been so proactive to know that our cyber security space needs to be funded. The truth of the matter is that Nigeria will be concerned to be the one paying for our cyber security architecture.
Right, but I mean, when you say that budgets to defense and security declined, a lot of persons would not agree with you, because for some security experts, a lot of money has gone into protecting, the defense and security sector in this country. But now, would you say, let me rephrase this question, is cybersecurity levy new in Nigeria? Because some Nigerians are hearing this for the very first time.
It is new. If you look at the Cybercrime Prohibition and Prevention Act that came out in 2015, if you look at this one, this is an amended act to that. Yes. And then the CBN, well, they have a better reason why they have not implemented that particular provision of section 48, subsection 2, subsection 8. I think that was the particular subsection that they were referring to in the circular. But the truth of the matter is that cybersecurity levy is new in terms of implementation. It might have been sitting down there in the act, but nobody knows about it.
Actually, it's been sitting down there in the act. But do you think government now, this administration now enacting it, do you think this is a plus to the government?
Well, it is not a plus to the government from cybersecurity perspective. The truth of the matter is that how do we fund cybersecurity activities worldwide? For example, if you look at US budget, they budgeted for cybersecurity. In fact, it actually rose to about 13 point something billion, if I'm not making mistake. So it shows that they are proactive, they are concerned. There are other revenue heads where cybersecurity can be funded. Cybersecurity is a critical action point that it must not be played as an operational discussion. I think CBN is a bit operational about it. They tend to be a bit strategic. When you talk about cybersecurity, I think what CBN should have done better is to concentrate on doing what? On ticking the boxes of those that own and operate those critical infrastructure assets. Because if you look at the reason CBN gave for this, they said in order to further strengthen our security of critical infrastructure assets.
True.
And the truth of the matter, if you permit me to go on, please.
Please go on.
In US, for example, in May 2021 of recent, just like 3 years back, there is a particular infrastructure that is critical to them. We call it Colonial Pipeline. Colonial Pipeline is under private ownership. They are responsible for transporting oil, gas from Houston to other parts of Africa. They experienced what we call ransomware attack May 7th, 2021. The federal government stepped in because they see it as a critical line to the economy. There was shortage of gases. You know, people were taken to the street. For the first time in US, after so many years, the government allowed crude oil to be transported on the road. So the government will play an intervention role. But we have a lot of acts. We have a lot of regulation that is saying that players in the IT critical infrastructure sector to put in place cybersecurity for banks. For banks, there are cybersecurity frameworks that must be put in place. We have the Nigeria Data Protection Act that was signed by this administration in 2023. This will also cater for cybersecurity framework of some of these operators in the critical infrastructure economy. So government coming out to say that people should pay 0.5%, which is 0.005, is a bit unrealistic. We have a lot of social economic issues in Nigeria that today people may be reacting from economic perspective. But from what should be perspective as a cybersecurity expert, I am telling you that I have not heard of that anywhere in the world where citizens are being levied cybersecurity levy to fund our cybersecurity.
All right, Mr. Aziz. I mean, it's so interesting also because there are exemptions to some banking transactions, 16 in total. I mean, from what I have here, loan disbursement and repayment, salary payment, intra-account transfers
that probably they are what we call maybe social service or intra activities within the bank. For example, if you are transferring money from your account, from a particular account to another account in another bank or in the same bank, you don't need to pay cyber security levy. Okay. But as far as I'm concerned, those exemptions, I don't know what CBN is actually thinking of. For example, I'll tell you that, do you know that salary schedule was part of that exemption? As a cyber security expert, I will tell you, if I lay hand on your salary schedule, you will have a lot of what we call sensitive information. A salary schedule contains what we call the bank name, the account number, and so many, like the BVN also can also be in salary schedule in some cases. We don't know what would have informed the CBN to exempt those lines, but I think when you talk about cybersecurity, as far as I'm concerned, there is no exemption, especially when it comes to securing those things. But probably they are looking at necessities. Salary, it will be paid on a monthly basis, and probably the frequency of doing that. Yeah. But I'm reacting from a cybersecurity perspective, right?
Absolutely.
If you look at social data, they're also talking about for example, immigration. They will have a lot of citizen data, right? So the social register of Nigeria, that contains a lot of data, like the addresses of people, their names, and sometimes their account number. All these are supposed to also be protected. And people that are in charge of this, they are supposed to have cybersecurity architecture in place to protect them. So I don't know, as far as I'm concerned, is that today, what will have informed CBN to exempt some of those things, all of them shouldn't fly. Some may fly, like the intra-bank transaction and self-transaction might fly.
But do you, I mean, I want you to help me clarify two things here. What business entities do you think CBN is also trying to target here? And with these exemptions, is this really targeted at poor Nigerians?
No, if you look at the exemption, it's not actually targeted at poor Nigerians. But you know, as I was saying, I'm talking to you as a cybersecurity expert.
Yes, I
what should be and what should not be. And if you are trying to play big in a game, if you go dirty from the beginning, you'll be able to achieve your dream, right? If you look at what we have done as a nation, right, I don't think we should start with this, right? How are Nigeria being informed about our cybersecurity architecture? Okay. I will tell you for free, so many people are complaining that their money is being deducted from their bank. People are moving their money. Are you telling me that that bank is cyberly secured? Right. So CBN are saying that people should pay 0.5%. It's not everybody that is in that category, right? But for those that are in that category, they're also victims of cyber attack. So many people are crying of cyber attack. Like 2 days or 3 days back, I had the history of St. George. I don't know if you heard about it. And I also stepped in within my own power to see whatever we can do. We wrote to EFCC, we wrote to OPE, and we also wrote to Zenith Bank. So what we are saying in essence is that regardless of the people that are in that spectrum, right, citizens are concerned because to an extent they look at it that, okay, you are trying to reduce the scope of coverage. You can further extend it if you feel that people are compliant. You can also further extend it from 0.05 to 0.1 if people are compliant. So people are beginning to get worried that if you start with point A, you can get to point D.
All right, so, I mean, from what you just said now, is this really about CBN not really communicating this to Nigerians? I mean, if we have about 16 exemptions in total, but what is out there is everyone is paying. That's the information out there.
Absolutely.
Do you fault CBN's strategic communication unit on this lack of perhaps awareness, advocacy, that should have gone into properly communicating this to Nigerians? Yeah,
I don't know the extent of effort CBN might have put into this because I must be sincere.
Because I asked that question because
I believe there will be public hearing in 2015 before they roll out the 2015 Cybercrime Prohibition Act. But as of today, I'm not sure probably CBN is doing enough on this. Probably they just wake up, they don't want to sleep on the wheel further. They feel that we should get to this. But beginning with the cybersecurity levy is not the right starting point. Nigerians are not informed. I can assure you, if they feel Nigeria are informed, they should share with us the communication channel, they should share with us those information that have passed to ordinary Nigeria in the past to be sure that a cybersecurity levy has been communicated.
So what you're saying now is so much awareness, so much advocacy should have gone ahead of this announcement.
Absolutely.
All right, so do you also think this is, this policy is ill-timed?
Yes, I think so. I think it is. You know, we have a lot of socio-economic issues, as I've stated, and people are complaining about a multiplicity of taxation. People are complaining of what direction are we really going with respect to fines, penalty, levy. But one thing we must commend that the government is doing well on cybersecurity. I told you about the rating of Nigeria. We came from almost the bottom to second position. The government is committed in fighting cyber crimes, right? And I've been to the National Cyber Crime Center also in Abuja. You know, we had this cyber security conference last week at Abuja with the Interpol. We are not, as private player, we are not allowed in, but it was actually Interpol affair. Nigeria, as a nation, we are not doing badly when it comes to cybercrime. I must give it to the government. But the government must realize their role in the cybersecurity space. And I must tell you that the critical infrastructures, they are not publicly owned as of today. Who are those that controls the water supply? Right? Is it the government? I believe the answer is almost no. Who are those that control electricity? We have the discos. Who are those that control transportation? Like Lagos State, we are not doing badly when it comes to transportation. We can see the blue line, right? But if you travel abroad, most of the transportation channels, they are automated. They leverage on what we call computing. So what happens if they are hacked? They can't move on the rail. But ours as of today is just electrified, right? But the truth of the matter is that if we rely hugely on computing, people need to contribute to that. So what we are saying as of today is that our cybersecurity architecture should be meant to be run by those that owns and operate those critical infrastructures. The telecommunications are owned and run by private sectors. The financial sector is run and owned by private investors. So they have their roles. We have the GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulations, that guide how businesses. We have the ISOs that guide how business deals with data, how they protect data. We have our own Nigeria Data Protection Regulations. What are the provisions? So I believe CBN as a regulator, what they ought to have done. Okay, banks. We have a lot of cases around you guys. What are you doing? People are complaining that their money is being moved illegally. So any bank that is found wanting, there is penalty. On this, let me also mention on this, when it comes to funding, from regulations, government can generate a lot of things. In 2020, if I'm not making a mistake, British Airways was found wanting of data breach. They were fined £20 million. Right. And they paid. So you can't ask citizens. We were playing small. There are a lot of money that could be generated by those that are found wanting. There are a lot of Nigeria banks, there are a lot of telcos, there are a lot of other institutions that are not cyberly secured, that are toying with our personal sensitive data. So CBN in their own space, they should look at it, banks as a regulatory arm. Do you know CBN have what we call IT standard blueprint? They have it in 2019, it was issued for the financial sectors, right? And the NCC also, to regulate the telecommunications, they should also, okay, how do we audit your critical infrastructure from IT perspective? So what we are talking about is that we know cybersecurity is business for everybody, but government play a leading role. Let me also shock you of maybe last year or of recent, probably this year, government of some countries, they are paying what we call cybersecurity grants. They are not collecting from
citizens.
They are paying to states, local government, and the territorials, like the councils, right? So what we are talking about is that government must know their strategic role. Because what the CBN has done, as far as I'm concerned, is not much strategic from cybersecurity perspective.
Now, I mean, it's very interesting to hear about this latest rating on Nigeria's cybersecurity.
Absolutely, we are second.
Because, I mean,
we are second. We are not doing
some, if NSA was really doing its job, maybe there would be some justifications for this payment. But let's talk about revenue generation, if indeed this is why government is doing this. Because some experts have sat down to say this levy is estimated to generate more than 3 to 5 trillion naira annually.
Absolutely.
So from the angle of government, is this about revenue generation?
Well, I can't speak for the government because I don't know what the intent is. But as a matter of fact, as a concerned citizen and as a professional in my field, I'll look at it as being monetary motivated. Because, you know, if you're talking about value addition, right, we have a lot of defense layers that are adding value to our cybersecurity roadmap. But tasking, the truth of the matter is that you can't just start with taxing the citizen about cybersecurity. Government, they have legitimate rights, right, in terms of generating revenue in order to better serve the citizen. Protection is very critical, but I think the government, they are not doing badly in terms of cybersecurity, and I will continue to say it because I've seen our rating worldwide, and I know what we're also doing in that aspect. But this is not strategic. I can say it. And it's not.
All right. So how do you advise CBN on being strategic about this?
I told you. You see, if the intention, the truth of the matter is that if the intention is that we need funding to fund our cybersecurity activities, there are better ways to go about it. You see, cybersecurity is not done in isolation, right? There are collaboration globally, right? We have our sister countries. We have people in Africa. We also have international bodies. What I'm saying is that how effective are our laws in terms of doing your job as data processor, in terms of doing your job as data collector, in terms of doing your job as data custodian? I can tell you for free, if CBN is to do their job very well from a cybersecurity enforcement perspective, they can get nothing less than 2 trillion. I am telling you for free because the money is out there. People are suffering in the digital space because you make use of an e-commerce channel, for example, and your money is just being wiped out. You understand? It shows that there are level of vulnerabilities in all those platforms. Who is responsible for IT audit of those platforms? Why do you think people are going to OPay? Why do you think people are going to PalmPay? Sorry to mention him. I'm just mentioning this fintech. People went to those people because when they got credited, they get alerts. So people tell you for that reason that's why they went. But at the end of the day, some of them they cried out of the place because probably their money was not protected.
Right. So another concern for Nigerians is that some of the levies we pay for transactions in Nigeria you pay these levies after making your profit, but this is transaction tax. Am I correct?
Absolutely, you are correct.
So what's the impact of this on the ease of doing business in Nigeria?
Well, the amount individually is highly insignificant, if you may ask. Okay. The amount is highly insignificant, if you ask me. Somebody that is able to transfer 1 million, for example, paying probably like 5,000 naira or thereabouts. I believe it is highly insignificant. It won't really affect our ease of doing business rating because it doesn't cut across all transactions, as I've also mentioned. But the truth of the matter is, what is the right thing to be done, right? Should be done. Our rating will be affected in terms of ease of doing business because if you look at the rate...
No, I'm actually talking about the practicality of doing business in Nigeria if this happens. No,
ordinarily, I don't see any negativity to that. There are a lot of taxes or levy that are higher than this, and people are paying it. I believe you are very much aware of that. So this should not affect our economic rating. Should not affect our economic activities. Because Nigeria, to be candid, we have a lot of business activities going out there. With the fact that people are still crying that we are paying a lot of levy, a lot of taxes, people are still moving about their day-to-day activities. But when it comes to cybersecurity, my interest is on the fact that what is sustainable? Is 0.05% sustainable? The answer is no.
All right, we'll talk about the sustainability of this after this break. I've been speaking with Ghazali Abdulaziz, a Google and Oxford certified cybersecurity expert. Tonight we're talking about the cybersecurity levy and matters arising. We'll go on a break and I'll be right back. Stay with us.
Voted as the best TV station of the year. TVC News breaks into the core of every event as they happen. Following all nationwide big and impactful stories. Without the news from every perspective. Covering every human angle. I am Veronica, bringing you the news you would want to watch.
Every major news story is with many perspectives and layered with different levels of impact.
Hello. What time did this happen? We will be right there.
At TVC News, we follow the big and major news, gathering the facts, witnessing the outcome.
I am here live at the aftermath of the approval of the new national minimum wage.
We are TV Station of the Year, not just for breaking news, but for being first, fair and accurate. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Our planet, our home, threatened by man's activities with fears of mass extinction on the rise. On Green Angle, we examine the issues that affect our environment, seek solutions to put us on track to secure and restore a cleaner and greener world for generations to come.
Politics Tonight, everyone. Thank you so much for staying with us. Tonight, I've been speaking with Ghazali Abdulaziz, a Google and Oxford certified cybersecurity expert. He's also the founder CEO of HCube Consulting Limited. Tonight, our focus is on the cybersecurity levy. Mr. Abdulaziz, thank you so much for staying with us on Politics Tonight. And now, from what I have here, and from everything we've been saying in the last 35 or 30 minutes thereabouts, you have said that our cyberspace needs to be regulated. Because from what I know, there are those who say if we know how much government parastatals, banks, individuals lose because of how unregulated our cyberspace is, we would want to pay more. But now let's go back to the issue of funding. 3.25 trillion naira was allocated to defense and security sector. Why can't government, or why can't these funds needed to protect businesses be extracted from that budget?
So, I stated earlier that we had a decline in the provision. If you look at 2023, we have 3.526 trillion. While in 2024, we have 3.25. There was a decline. I mentioned it earlier, and thank God that you actually went
That's correct.
You see, people believe that it's only allocating fund to security. You know the root cause analysis. Because I can allocate fund to anything, probably insurgency and security. But what is the root cause? Now, I'm telling you, I don't know the layer of this security and defense breakdown. I don't know if cyber security is inclusive. But if it is not, I believe that probably the government just woke up from slumber and they believe that they need to fund cyber security. There is no amount that is too much to be allocated to cyber security, right? As I've stated earlier, like US also, they had about 30% increment in the allocation for 2024. Also in UK, because the cybercrime rate is geometric in nature, is alarming. These guys are coming after every data they can lay their hands on.
It continues to evolve.
So, but the truth of the matter is that government needs to allocate specific amount based on our own automation level. Okay. Most of our businesses are being automated, right? Do we have visibility in terms of our layers of automation? So government needs to know what we are protecting. As I've stated earlier, based on the rating we have, we are rated second in Africa in cybersecurity rating. But Nigeria, is that holistic? All our data, are they protected? The answer is no. The answer is no. We don't need to shy away from that. So government needs to allocate what we call sufficient and appropriate fund. I can't.
How much is sufficient? Because if experts, security experts, economists are saying that the cybersecurity levy will generate 3.5 trillion annually, how much? And if government is to fund this from its pocket, how much?
I can assure you that amount is not more than what will be needed to secure our space, right? From a conservative perspective, because if we take a deep dive into our business space, how much are we generating in terms of national GDP? Is huge, right? And looking at the fact that probably it might be a startup point because our investment in the first, second, third year will be huge, right? And I will expect the government to leverage our historical cost. So in the next 4, 5, 6 to 10 years, the cost should not rise. We only leverage on what we have had and improve on it. But as of today, that's why do you think people go into cloud service? Because they don't want to incur fixed cost, for example, right? So they don't want to part away with their trillions, they don't want to part away with their billions. They will invest probably $1 million and they will scale with that. So based on the estimation that we have about 3 trillion that the government will generate from that, I don't think that is too much to invest in cybersecurity. As a cybersecurity expert, I can tell you for free that there is no amount that is too much to invest in cybersecurity, but there are benchmarks, right? People are in charge of procurement, collation, getting all those assets. But I believe there will be a committee that will work on that. But I don't think it will be too much for the government to invest things like 3 trillion in it. But I'm not an authority in saying that this amount will be sufficient. But all I know is that as an expert, we know what is good and we know what is not, right? If you are dealing with the cybersecurity space, we know those infrastructures that should be put in place to better protect the citizens and customers of any organization.
All right, so earlier you said CBN needs to be more strategic.
Yeah.
This is like a follow-up. How do you react to whether or not the implementation strategy by CBN requires more clarification to bring it into alignment with the Act? Do you think that without clarity, the aim will be abused or defeated? And ultimately defeated?
Let me tell you why I said in this regard that the CBN was not so strategic. If you take a look at what is happening globally, in the US, for example, we have what called the Home Security Service, right? They are in charge of home security. They work in connection with what we call the Cyber Security and Infrastructure Security Agency, right? They also have an apex body. The CBN will have done their best by working collaboratively with the people in charge of national cyber security. I'm very sure we have a national cyber security roadmap. We have a national cyber security strategy. People are in charge of this. Probably CBN would have done this all alone. I don't know. I believe their team, they also have a cyber security department, things like that. But what I'm saying that cyber security, especially when it comes to it as a national issue, should be spearheaded by a national cyber security office. I don't know if we have that, but I know we have National Crime Center. I know we have, National Cyber Crime Center. I know we have that. But we need an agency. Apart from the NSA that is in charge of national security, we need a specialized agency that is in charge of cyber security. And these are the people that will be talking to people. These are people that will be collaboratively working with all those regulatory agencies like NCC. NCC is in charge of telco. Also, NCC will now come off tomorrow. Okay, 0.05% you are paying is for online transactions that have to do with maybe to cater for the financial sector's cybersecurity infrastructure. What about the telco cybersecurity infrastructure? I tell them that NCC will also come up with their own circular, right? So cybersecurity should be centrally managed so that we can classify all our juicy assets. We can classify all our critical infrastructure, and together we have a roadmap in protecting them. So I think the CBN should work collaboratively with the Cyber Security Center. I don't know who we have, but if we do not, I think the starting point is for the CBN to work collaboratively with people that are in charge of the National Cyber Security Strategy. In UK, they have national cyber security strategy roadmap, and this is what they follow. They tick their boxes. What is our achievement in the last 2 months? What is our achievement last 3 months? So cyber security is a defense layer for everybody. It brings together the government, the private sectors, and the individual. I'm very sure, probably at home, you may have what we call CCTV. CCTV is also a cyber security investment. You have invested into that to secure people that are coming into your house. Individuals also invest in all these things. So what we are saying is that you are charging cyber security levy. Nigeria may even want to ask, okay, how do you want to spend it? Because it is their right to ask.
That's my next question. Concerns have been raised about transparency and accountability. 3 to 5 trillion naira. If this comes to friction, 3 to 5 trillion naira domiciled in the office of NSA. Nigerians are concerned about who will be accountable for this money. Is this a genuine concern?
It is actually a genuine concern. People want to know what you are doing with that money. What do we call about value for money? People are interested in what you do with every kobo. Right, as a civil person, or as a civil responsible person, you want to know what the government is doing with every naira you pay as tax. We have our PIT, that's the personal income tax people pay. We have the CIT, the company income tax. We have value-added tax. We have all other taxes, right? So government give reasons for how they spend this, and I think the onus is not on CBN. The onus is not on CBN to explain how National Cyber Security Fund is being spent. And if you look at that circular very well, they said it will be remitted to the National Security Administration or something like
Advisor.
that. So it shows, CBN is in front of this. And from the circular, they are not the one actually spending it, but they are trying to use CBN as a regulator to generate that money through the banks, right? But the truth of the matter is that who is in charge of our national cyber security architecture? The person is supposed to, for example, we are supposed to have this communique in terms of, okay, this is our national cyber security roadmap. This is what we are achieving in the next 6 months. This is how we are going to fund it. The government probably does not have fund. Are we getting loan? We have private government collaboration. People can collaborate. We have funds available that people want to invest in cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is a lucrative sector. In UK as of today, cybersecurity is either second or third largest sector that generates one of the highest revenue for them. Right. So government cannot fund cybersecurity. What government should do is to give an enabling environment for people to invest in cybersecurity, right? And they regulate. CBN, are they not supposed to be audited for cybersecurity compliance? They are supposed to. So what we are saying is that they are regulators, right? But the National Cybersecurity Strategy should have an agency. In the federal service, for example, I've read about Galaxy Bone or something like that. They are in charge of their internet and probably some other IT infrastructures. They don't allow MDAs to subscribe to probably private internet providers. So they have people in charge of that. So we are saying that CBN also, we have a cybersecurity agency that they report to.
All right. I mean, great conversation so far. But experts are asking for a review of this cybersecurity levy. Now, do you think this is really about the figure? Because when you calculate, this means if you do a business transaction of, let's say, 1 billion naira, you pay a cybersecurity levy of 5 million naira. Am I correct? Yeah. Now, let's say you do a business transaction of 100 billion naira. That's you paying a levy of 500 billion naira. I mean, is it about the figure? Should it be reduced, scrapped, or reduced?
There's always a saying that every business decision is a financial decision. There's always a saying around that. And what I want to say here is this. If you are acquainted with investigation process, there's always a lead. Something will trigger you. In the criminal investigation or in the forensic investigation field, we said every crime leaves a trace, right, into the acts or the regulations. There are some other things that will need to be jettisoned or to be reviewed, right? With the fact that everybody, you left your home, I left my home to look for daily living. We are looking for money. But anything that will take that 1 naira or 1 kobo from you, you are highly interested. So it is, you see, even somebody that will not be affected with this circular is also shouting on the street.
That's it.
You understand? Because most of the time, we don't really understand the circular. But the fact people are reacting,
and that's why we're having this conversation.
And that's why we're having this conversation. This conversation. So what we are saying is this: the money is a red flag. People are concerned. Look at the 9 posts. Look at the stamp duty and all those things. They came with a lot of concerns when a public hearing was made on the first Cybercrime Prevention and Prohibition Act. But the truth of the matter is that I'm very sure so many people were not aware. And I was so concerned. Why was that particular subsection was not implemented before now? Yeah. I believe there are social concerns, especially for any reason.
That's correct.
You understand? So, and I think we should be much more concerned now because the cost of living now is more higher than then. Right? Not because Nigeria is bad, but probably because we are trying to fix things. You understand? So I think the CBN governor, as far as I'm concerned, has not been doing badly in terms of managing the financial issues. We know the issue with dollar and some other things that we are faced with. But on this, I believe probably, everything, when anything happens, they call on the president. And I'm very sure the president may not even be aware of this. But if anything happens, we call on the president. What we are just saying is that CBN should look at it. And thanks to the National Assembly that they've asked them to withdraw this and they should stop the implementation, they should suspend it. This doesn't need to see the day of the light as of today.
So,
that's the truth.
So, I mean, what exactly is the implication of this on the entire financial sector? There are those who are saying this will alienate people from the financial sector, it will discourage digital transaction, the black economy will return. From your own perspective, what implication will this have on the entire financial sector? People
have said that they're going to be digging.
I said they will start keeping their money.
Keeping their money as well. So if you're on social media, you know that there are a lot of.
I'll go back to the days of
Colo. Go back to the days of Colo rather than the piggyback. So people have a lot of negative reaction because they see this to be repressive to their human rights. So the truth, one of the things that the bank also knows how to do is to how to deduct some money because every day we wake up to debit alert, you don't know what this alert is. But the truth of the matter is that we must appreciate where we are in terms of our cybersecurity roadmap. But I think we need to be strategic. If we are not strategic, you see, I keep mentioning being strategic. Let me tell you, for example, the Ukraine-Russia warfare. You know, there was before the physical combat, there was cyber warfare. And messages were sent to Ukrainian citizens that you should be prepared for worst. These are cyberbullying on its own, right? But what we are saying is that there is no investment, as I've stated earlier, that is too much to invest in cybersecurity. But the government must know their role. Because to be candid, you can't rule out that kind of circular. Because probably they think Nigerians are not aware. And you know, the way we do things in the past is not the way we do things today, and the way we do things tomorrow will also change. So what we are seeing in essence is that people are dissatisfied. People are not motivated. They even feel that their money is not safe with the bank. Because if the apex regulatory body is issuing that such circular, what other circular will come out tomorrow that people will keep deducting our money? So people are not happy saving their money with the bank. They believe that they can just...
So as we wrap up tonight, what more can we do to protect our cyberspace in 1 minute? So cybersecurity starts with you. Okay. That's the right word. Cybersecurity starts with everybody. As I've always said, we are as strong as our weakest link, right? So the link is the government, the businesses, that's the private sector, and the individual. So it's a triad, right? So we have to fix all those dots. As an individual, are you aware? I can tell you for free that the National Cybercrime Center, they roll out a lot of cybersecurity tips on their page. When you go to that page, sometimes you don't see 20 views. So what interests us as human beings, right? I organized, I did a cybersecurity advocacy program on campus in University of Lagos. Also thanks to TVC, people were there. This is the first time I'm appearing here, but I think these are things that we need. We mentioned advocacy. Cybersecurity advocacy is very poor in Africa. As of today, I'm an Africa lead in cybersecurity advocacy. I've been to about 5 African countries. Next week, I'll be in Kenya also. What we are saying is this: the advocacy in cybersecurity is so poor in Africa, probably because of our geopolitical tension we have, and also a lot of socio-economic issues. But we can't shy away from the fact that we need help. And the kind of help we need is a collective help. People don't pay attention to things. Sometimes you make use of your ATM while in the public. Sometimes you do transfer while in the public. So we don't take precautionary measure. And I think we need to start educating people. Cybersecurity starts with you. Cybersecurity starts with you. All right. And the government will also play their role. Thank you so much. Great conversation tonight. Thank you so much for your insights. I've been speaking with Ghazali Abdulaziz, Thank you very much. A Google and Oxford certified cybersecurity expert. He's also the founder CEO of HQ Consulting Limited. Thank you so much for joining us on Politics Tonight. Thank you very much. Right. And thank you very much for watching. That marks the end of today's episode of Politics Tonight. But you can watch the repeat broadcast of this episode at midnight. Get in touch with us at our social media handles, Facebook, Instagram, and X at TVC News NG. You can also use the hashtag Politics Tonight. We're also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Goodbye to everyone.
The new Happy Sachets. It has a thick formula, so all you need is just 1 sachet for your toilet bowl. It gives 10 times better cleaning and big savings too.
Wow, Helen!
Sparkling clean toilet with Happy Sachet.
Bye, Mom.
He's going to play in this weather. Why did you let him go? He might fall ill.
And if he doesn't go out for practice, how will he win more trophies? To protect our family from illness-causing germs during the rainy season, we use Dettol soap every day.
Dettol with Germ Defense gives you protection. Rainy season brings a lot of germs, and Dettol soap's Germ Defense protects you from up to 100 illness-causing germs. Dettol soap is endorsed by the Nigerian Medical Association. Be Dettol sure.
Get in on the action with Betano, your exciting destination for sports betting. Enjoy an award-winning experience with amazing betting options, cash outs and missions, as well as other features. Join now and get a welcome bonus of up to 200,000 naira. betano.ng. The game starts now.
Kolishlashla Mandela was born into the Madiba clan on the 18th of July 1918. He got involved in politics in 1942 as he helped to form ANC Youth League. He was married to Evelyn Mays and they had 4 children. Mandela was arrested in a countrywide police swoop on 5th December 1956, which led to the 1956 treason trial. Before the end of the treason trial, he wrote to Prime Minister for vote to include a national convention on a non-racial constitution, and failure to adhere would resort to a national strike. In August, he was arrested and charged for leaving the country without a permit and inciting workers to strike. He was